Okay, so imagine this with me. All right. A hand-painted figure, uh, really strong stripes, and it's all set against like this rich crimson background.
Mm-hmm.
But it's not like moving fast or anything. It's actually like pausing. You know what I mean?
Mm.
Like it's choosing to be still.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, and there's this real sense of like owning that stillness.
Yeah.
So I'm curious, when you picture that, what kind of thoughts come to mind for you?
Hmm. Well, it definitely makes me think about like the power of that pause, especially in a world that's constantly telling us to do more, faster, faster. There's
Yeah.
something kind of powerful about choosing to just be still.
Yeah, totally. And that image actually comes from a piece called The Anti-Hustle Blueprint, which is what we're going to be diving into today.
Ooh.
Because we're really going to explore this whole idea that all this focus on urgency and like churning out more and more in the workplace,
Uh-huh.
it might actually be holding us back from something super important.
What's that?
Our ability to actually imagine and come up with new ideas, like
Yeah.
truly innovate. Yeah. And the source we're looking at is this Bites with Addy piece, specifically why we need more dreamers in the boardroom.
Makes sense.
And, think about it. Have you ever felt like you're so swamped with just like tasks and to-dos that there's literally zero space left in your brain for like creative thinking?
Oh, all the time. And I
Uh,
think everyone listening has probably felt that at some point.
for sure. It's like you're on this treadmill of just getting things done.
Yeah.
But when do you actually get to step off and like think about the bigger picture or where you actually want to be going?
Right.
And this piece is saying that this whole obsession with constant activity can actually end up silencing the people who have those really visionary ideas, the ones who could be leading us in exciting new directions.
That's a really good point.
And so what I find fascinating is that this piece is suggesting that, in trying to be so efficient, we might have accidentally created systems that actually squash originality,
Wow.
which is kind of ironic,
Yeah.
right? Because originality is what helps us move forward and actually make progress.
Totally. And that image we talked about at the beginning, that bold figure standing still, it's a great reminder that there's a different way to lead.
Right.
One that's not just about rushing around, but like having a clear vision and being intentional with your actions.
It's about choosing thoughtful progress over just being busy for the sake of being busy,
Yeah,
you know?
exactly.
And the cool thing is this piece actually offers some really practical ways to shift our thinking with what it calls a dreamer's agenda.
Okay, I like that. Tell me more.
So for example, think about your typical team meeting, right?
Uh-huh.
Instead of the usual, are we on track?
Yeah.
The author suggests asking, are we still proud of where we're going?
Oh, that's good.
Right? It's like a subtle change, but it really shifts the focus from just hitting those milestones to actually taking a step back and evaluating like the quality and purpose of what we're doing.
I like that a lot. It's more about the journey than just the destination.
Exactly. And instead of always jumping to what's the obstacle?
Mhm.
What if we asked? What are we afraid to try?
Hmm. That's interesting. I feel like that would spark some really honest conversations.
Totally. It could help us uncover those unspoken fears that might be holding us back from trying something truly innovative.
Yeah, for sure.
And maybe the most interesting one. This piece talks about shifting from who is responsible for this, which can sometimes lead to a really siloed approach,
Yeah. Yeah.
to asking who could bring the most passion to this idea.
Oh, wow. I love
Right?
it.
It like reframes the whole idea of ownership around enthusiasm and potential.
Yeah.
Like trusting that the most exciting ideas will actually thrive when they're in the hands of people who are genuinely inspired by them.
That's powerful stuff.
It is.
Yeah.
And the author makes a really strong case that imagination isn't just some fluffy extra. It's what allows us to actually chart a better course for the future.
I couldn't agree more. It's like the compass that guides us.
Exactly. And, it's interesting because this piece also kind of touches on some of the shifts that are happening in workplace culture right now.
Oh, like what?
Well, like how younger generations are challenging those traditional ways of working,
Right.
and there's this growing recognition of things like design thinking principles
Mm-hmm.
and this idea of actively encouraging people to dream out loud, to not be afraid to share those what if moments. It's becoming a real strategic advantage for companies.
Yeah, it makes sense. It's not just some abstract, non-essential thing anymore.
Right. And this source actually says it straight up, creativity isn't fluff, it's future-proofing.
And that's so true, especially in a world that's changing so fast.
Yeah. The ability to imagine and create new solutions.
Yeah,
It's not just a nice to have anymore. It's absolutely crucial for staying ahead of the curve.
for sure.
So, as we wrap up this deep dive, I think the big takeaway here is about finding a better balance
Balance between.
between productivity and imagination. because it's not just beneficial,
Yep.
you know? It's essential for setting goals that actually mean something and for really preparing for whatever the future holds.
And I love those dreamers agenda questions, like shifting from are we on track to are we still proud of where we're going?
Yeah.
And that other one from who owns this to who could make this idea really sing.
Those are such good questions to be asking ourselves.
They really are. It's all about making space for those unpolished ideas and those moments of dreaming.
And so to everyone listening, I want to leave you with this. Think back to that image we started with, that bold figure choosing to pause.
Mm-hmm.
What's one small thing you could do this week to create a little more space for those what-if moments in your own life?
Yeah, whether it's at work or in your personal life, it could be anything.
It's about being intentional about carving out some space for that unexpected spark of imagination.
Exactly. Give yourself permission to dream a little.
We really encourage you to think about that. And hey, if you feel like it, share your reflections with us. This deep dive is really just the beginning of a much bigger conversation about the power of imagination.
And how to make sure it has a seat at the table in a world that's always on the go.
Totally. So thanks for joining us on this deep dive, and we'll catch you next time.